Welcome back again to Inspector Toolbelt Talk. Today on we have a special guest. We have John Russell from iGo. How are you, John?
Great. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. We're privileged to have you on the show. You're kind of a big dog in the industry, and it's nice to have you on. You are the CEO and co-founder of iGo. I'm sure you already know that, but
Yeah,
maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what iGo is to kind of get us off the floor and rolling.
yeah, great. Again, my name is John Russell. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Inspection Go. Inspection Go is focused on helping home inspection companies grow their business. We started a little over 3 years ago when we acquired Mike Crow's Millionaire Inspector Community and Axiom Academy, a school that was owned by Axiom Inspections out of Denver. Really brought those together to start supporting home inspection companies, helping them grow, helping them find new inspectors looking to hire, while we've been investing in building technology for the industry over the last few years.
Yeah, and I've been kind of keeping tabs on a lot of the stuff that you guys have going on. You have Keystone, you have a new I don't want to call it a product, a new concept with Curbio and some other really great stuff going on. But what I
Yeah,
like about you guys and the reason we have you on the show is you're not porch related. You're not big business from outside the industry. You're inside the industry, right? You're independently
right.
owned.
Yeah. Independently owned, and my co-founder is Chad Head, the founder and CEO of Elite Group, one of the largest independent home inspection companies in the country. And when we got started, we saw this opportunity within the industry that a lot of outsiders see and are investing money to come into our industry, because of the timing that we're coming in contact with new home buyers. A new homeowner spends more in that first 6 months than the rest of the home ownership journey combined. So there's a lot of focus on trying to get to that opportunity. And, Chad Het and I, years ago, I was actually working with Chad at the Elite Group for a few years, helping build the business. And we actually took it from 6 to 12 million over a short period of time. And through that, I started to meet a lot of the other top, very influential inspection companies out there. And from there, when we launched Inspection Go, Chad and I, some of our earliest investors are some of the top inspection companies in the industry. When we go to our conferences, I think one of the things you hear across the board is together we win. We really believe that, by bringing all the great independent inspection companies together, there's a lot of things we can accomplish, to compete against some of those outside forces that exist.
Yeah, and for anybody that doesn't know iGo or you guys in general, um, that's your name is synonymous with big inspection companies like Elite Group. Even I believe Nick Gromiko is a strategic, I forget what
Advisor,
position,
yeah, yeah, the
strategic
co-head.
advisor.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, anybody who's in the inspection industry who is anybody recognizes the iGo logo, the iGo name. So you guys are definitely out there, and the Mike Crow and the Axiom thing. I really like to see that because I think one of the big issues and kind of leads into what we're going to be talking about today, which is the inspection industry as a whole and where it's going.
Yeah.
It's nice to see somebody instituting change from within because it would be nice if we took control of our own industry
Right.
rather than all these other companies coming
Yeah.
in and saying, we know how to do this better.
Yep.
Let's just cut out the inspector and we'll make a bunch of money. And that's not really where we're, as
No.
Inspector Toolbelt, that's not where we want to be.
No. And in this industry, there's so many great, as I said, independent home inspection company owners across the country. There's so many great, there's great franchise systems with great franchisees, but there is no national brand that's large enough across the United States to be, the national brand in home inspection. So there are these outside forces that, are coming in trying to consolidate those transactions. Um, from our perspective, the, you know, we believe that rather than have someone buying all the companies or us buying all the vendors and forcing people to use certain softwares, We believe in building a platform that all the independent inspection companies can, work together to accomplish, lots of different things.
Yeah, and that's what I like to hear. Independently owned companies taking back our industry, and that's kind of our mantra is take back our industry. Because to be perfectly honest, let's break into that discussion. I feel we've lost ground in our industry over the past few years. When years ago, with the quote unquote, I don't want to call it the fall of ISN, but the big gut punch to ISN when Porch bought them, the whole big thing with AmFam and Home Gauge, and then Porch brought up a whole bunch of other software companies, including Home Inspector Pro, which at the time was the largest software company. And then you have companies that have come and go, but the latest one is going to be Inspectify, which we've mentioned on the show.
Right.
We've lost some ground. Do you think
Yeah.
we can gain it back?
Yeah, I definitely think we can gain it back. And when you look at how everybody's approaching it, Inspectify's business model is to, be the API for the home. And their path to doing that is to control the booking of the inspection and subcontract it out to home inspectors. So they want to be that brand that everybody thinks of when it's time to book an inspection. So they can control the data that's being collected and what's happening with it. And as you said, Porch buying up some of our vendors and forcing, and really, creating programs where, if you trade the lead, you can get the software for free. I think that there is an opportunity for us to take back the industry. When you look at, Inspectify, for example, there's a reason they're able to go out there and get agreements, and it's because they've got thousands of inspectors signed up across the country. So we're kind of doing it to ourselves there,
Mm-hmm.
where we all, sign up for a program to get the demand and turn, that, company looking for inspections now has a national solution. And, we now are, we have a middleman in there. So I think the path for us to take back the industry is, the vision that we have is to really bring those companies together. We do similar things to Inspectify, but we don't cut the home inspector out of the monetization of, the homeowner experience. Or if that agent wants to come back and work with them again, that's awesome. Our goal is to help home inspection companies retain that business through our program. And we're not going after agents in local markets to book through our experience. We're working with national investors and business that the local inspectors can't get on their own, and not going after the agents. So I think for us, by having enough of the big inspection companies and really inspection companies of all sizes working together, one of the things that I saw constantly when I was working with Chad at the Elite Group was opportunities would come to the Elite Group where we could, people were interested in, us referring homeowners for something, or, they had a need for inspections all over, the West Coast, and we, even at Elite Group, couldn't provide it. One of the largest inspection companies in the country, because we just weren't big enough. So I think by having home inspection companies that are working together, we're not fighting against each other. We're fighting against these outside forces. And I think the more friendly we are with our competition and, working together really is that answer.
And, I think the last part of what you said was very important. We're fighting against these outside sources. Oftentimes we're competing against each other. Whether we're a single inspector or a multi-inspector firm, we tend to compete against each other, and that's part of a market in general. But these outside forces are taking advantage of that because they have a lot of resources. And it's kind of interesting to think about. There's an old expression that says, what one generation tolerates, the next generation embraces. I remember 20 years ago almost starting my first inspection company, and I tried to call a firm about an arrangement, and we were doing pretty well at the time. And he said, I'm sorry, we don't work with home inspectors. We only work with agents because there's not enough juice in that fruit with the home inspector. And I looked, and they wanted data. And I'm like, okay, so I looked at one of the agents I worked with. Their entire office sold 100 houses that year. So they only got data. If they got all the agents in that office for 100 houses, for 100 families, they could have had 10 times that with just one inspector in some cases, or five or 10 times that. I never understood why outside companies didn't figure it out sooner. Because even then, I didn't know what to do with that information. But back then, it was a different market. I don't think what I'm getting at back, I'm kind of trailing here a little bit, but getting back to my point of what one generation tolerates, another generation embraces, newer inspectors don't realize how much ground we've lost. And an average inspector doesn't think, how does this affect my daily life? But I look at the metrics from 10 years ago compared to today. Profits are down. The way we do the business is down. We're doing more on an inspection for less, going well outside SOP for half the money. I talk to inspectors all the time. I was just helping this one guy out. He's doing 500 inspections a year for $300 an inspection, and he's just barely getting by.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a much different industry now. And, it's kind of shaped like Inspectify. They change all their prices so they only give the inspector a couple $100. Okay, well, I don't work for Inspectify. Yeah, but that changes the market's perception of the value of services. So there could be 10 home inspectors say, oh, they'll only give me $200, so I'll charge $300. Now I'm above that.
Yeah.
It changes perception. It does affect our daily work. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it does. And I think another angle to look at that too is when you look at, the, today we do a home inspection and that's it, right? Like there's no relationship continuing with that. And that's why the value of a home inspection business isn't quite as high as some other industries, say like pest control, where you have that reoccurring revenue and that reoccurring customer. So I think that, the industry is changing and there are, some of these outside forces that are coming in. And the reason that they're coming in is back to what I said in the beginning. Homeowners spend more in that first 6 months than any other time during home ownership. So I know these all these other companies that are coming into our industry. That's why they see that. And the person with the keys, the person with that owns that relationship, the most important person that whole thing is the home inspector. It can't. None of it can happen without the home inspector. So the homeowner needs to be the North Star. If anything's being done, there's the future, I believe, is home inspection companies are taking that information that they're collecting and giving the homeowner the ability to use it to make their lives better, right? Not to sell it to 5 different vendors to try to sell them security and TV and internet and a million different things, but to truly help that homeowner. And the only place that information exists is the home inspection company owners. So I believe that the future of our industry is home inspection companies are the ones that can really create a customer for life experience, right? Where that property information powers a homeowner experience that's really valuable and gives that home inspection company and that agent the ability to be in front of that homeowner throughout the journey of home ownership by truly providing value. So I think the shift, like things have changed over the last 3 years, 5 years, where, if we would have said 5 years ago anything about contacting homeowners or trying to help them have a better experience, it was unheard of, right? And thankfully, companies like Porch and others have come in and made that, the standard way of doing business. I think that there's a better consumer experience to be had, and the home inspector is the key. Without the home inspector, none of it happens. So compensating home inspections fairly, making the homeowner the true North Star, and the homeowner data is the homeowners. So giving it to the homeowner in a way that they can use it in valuable ways, not selling contact information off to vendors to be reaching out. So I think the changes over the last few years are good because it's moving us into a world where I believe home inspection company owners should be getting residual incomes on every homeowner that they've worked with. And so I think the evolution is a good thing, but it's just going to be different than it was before.
Yeah. So we've used the illustration on the show before that the wave is coming. Do you fight it or do you ride it?
Right.
But that doesn't mean we have to ride it like everybody else does. Because in the industry, you brought out a really good point that the homeowner should be the North Star. I like how you put that. Because data is a dirty word. We talk to inspectors every day, and nobody likes to think, I don't want to sell my client's data. I don't want to sell my client's data. This is my client's private data, because especially guys that have been in it 20 years, this is sacred.
Yep.
Their homeowners' information is deeply sacred.
It is. Right.
So instead of looking at it as data, which is what these other companies are doing, basically, let me get this data and work that data as hard as I can to squeeze out every last dime.
Yep.
Instead, ignore the data and look at the person. It's the homeowner.
Yep.
Okay. Now we have a relationship with them. We are the gatekeeper, and we're not grabbing data out of their person running. We're meeting them with a warm handshake. That I like.
Yep.
But that's an unavoidable change. It's already here. It's already here.
Homeowners will have an easy the homeowner experience will become easier and less frictionless. When you think about, the younger generations and them being able to maintain a home, like it's, if you take someone that's in their 40, 50 years old versus someone that's 20 years old, they don't even know how to swing a hammer anymore or do half the things to maintain a home. They're used to, they want food and it's in the evening time, they're hitting Uber Eats and it's showing up on their doorstep. Like things have gotten really easy. And, the home, the most valuable thing we have, you're left to reactively deal with things with the home. And it's inevitable. It's going to change. And the one thing that can help home ownership be easier is the property information. And, in order for it to be done the right way, the homeowner needs to be in control, not sharing the information with third parties so they can market at the right time, but giving it to the homeowner so they can make decisions during that homeownership journey and make that process much easier. Which, sure, there's monetization opportunities, and inspectors should be, compensated for those opportunities the entire time that homeowner is part of that customer for life experience. But the key is that it has to be the homeowner, because if the homeowner isn't happy, the agent isn't happy, and if the agent isn't happy, they're not going to use us anymore. So that homeowner experience is so important.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because people do rely on us as home inspectors. I find a lot more than they do like the real estate agent afterwards. Like we get questions all the time, completely unrelated to the actual home inspection. People are like, "Oh, what about this? What about that? You were always so responsive and very helpful and gave us good information." But I guess the difference between what I would like to happen and what's actually happening in our market is, I don't know if you've been watching the news. Walmart has gotten caught, just basically blatantly taking our data and selling it. They bought these 18 things this day, and they tend to buy more of this kind of cat food than others, and they sell that data. That's how they're making their money. Nobody likes it. It feels icky. But going back to the real estate agent, I remember I used one to buy my house, and every so often he's like, "Hey, what about this? Hey, I was thinking about you. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about that." It's a much different thing, because he hasn't taken my data and just sold it and worked it. It's a relationship. And I would sell my house with him again, and I would call him and say, "Hey, what do you recommend for this?" Completely different than Walmart selling my data.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to see happen instead of what actually is happening.
Agreed. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that information can make life easier. Get in your phone and you look down at you get in your car and you look down at your phone and it asks you if you're driving home, and you click on the button and next thing you know, it's navigating you home. It makes it easier, right? Like I'm not mad because my phone knows where my house is and that I usually leave the office at the same time, and it's figured out, hey, you're probably going home, right? So that's the same type of thing, right? Like I'm, using that property information to create experiences for that homeowner to leverage and not share any of their personal information. That's the future. But there's definitely other ways that, this is being approached out there. We really believe that, taking, if you do 100 inspections last month and, you and next thing you know, ADT or a TV and internet company or a plumbing company is just cold calling those homeowners, that coming back to you is like the agent is, it's not a good experience in my
Mm-mm.
opinion. The experience that needs to be there is really arming that homeowner with the information and letting them make those decisions. It's crazy today. Home inspectors, they go out, they do a home inspection. It's used to negotiate the price of the home, put in a drawer, and never used again. And like, your work is so much more valuable than that, like so much
Mm-hmm.
more valuable that homeowner should be able to get so much more value out of the data and information you collected about their property than to just put it in a drawer and not to be remembered. So, that's where we really think like the change, the future is that inspection report becomes much, much more valuable to that homeowner than just that one moment in time.
Yeah. So you're speaking my language in the fact that two things: keeping the data with the homeowner and keeping them in control. Because I hear that a lot. Matter of fact, after some podcasts like this, I'll get emails and messages from inspectors saying, "Well, I'd never give out my client's data." It's getting given out, whether we realize it or not, most of the time. It's just a matter of what software we use, what we're doing, how we send the information, whatever. But like you said, you look down at your phone, and they know your phone knows where you live. That's the fact of life now. So the change has already happened. Will we do it the right way, or will we allow the outside industry to take over?
And
The
force
second
us
thing,
to do it,
what's that?
right? Those outside forces will force it to be done their way,
Exactly.
or and that's where we can take control um, and do it the right way.
Yeah, exactly. I want to do it the right way because it's already happening. The second thing you talked about was residual income. I have helped so many home inspectors get ready to retire. And just guys that I know, I'm like, oh, hey, find a guy, see if you can sell your business or something. But almost invariably, they end up selling their business for like $5,000. I remember this one guy, he had like 6 inspectors, relatively busy. He goes to sell his business and he's like, I'm going to sell it for, $800,000. I'm like, no, you're not. And I said, you're probably going to sell for, I said like 5 to 10. So
Yeah.
6 months later, he calls me and he called me a bunch of times, but he's like, the only offer I got was $5,000, and that was just for my website and my past client data. He's like, I can't believe it. I'm like, because once you're gone,
It's
now it's a dead end service, and not that's I always say it the wrong way. There's actually another term for it. Dead end service, as in we complete the service and then it's done. There's nothing recurring. So it's not like you're an accountant that has somebody that comes back every year and you can pretty much count on 90% of them coming back every year. So there's recurring income. That makes a tax business very sellable, but it makes a home inspection business very unsellable.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and it really comes down to two things, right? When you're looking at selling a business, it's how much money do you make every year? What's your profit? What's the EBITDA? And then, what's the multiple, right? And if you're a business that's transactional and you're collecting an inspection fee and then you don't have any other relationship with that homeowner, the multiple on your EBITDA is going to be much lower, whereas if you look at a pest control company, a lot of home inspection companies build a pest control company beside it. I don't know that makes sense for everybody, but it's happening. And the reason that they're doing it is because that pest control revenue is a reoccurring business. So they're using the home inspection business to get the clients for pest control, and then building a residual business. We believe that, pest control is a great example, right? Like a home inspection company could have a partnership with a pest control business that creates a residual income stream. Homeowners insurance, right? Like normally, when somebody gets their homeowners insurance, every year they're renewing it at 80, 90%. If you're in a concierge program and they're selling insurance and you're not getting a residual income, then, you're not making money on the book of business you're building. So that's where, we really believe that, whether it be homeowner warranty or insurance or, pest, I mean, there's many, many, many categories that if you truly treat the customer the right way, right? Like give them the information, make them the North Star, they're gonna, like, if we're trying to create a customer for life, you have to make the experience, world class during that, and make the customer the North Star if you want them to continue to come back and to have those residual income opportunities. It really requires to, not just take the property information make as much as we can during the, move-in process. It's about building a customer for life because of all those residual income opportunities, which, you know, the more of that an inspection company can have, it's going to increase that, multiple that they're getting on their business if they want to sell it in the future.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned like homeowners insurance and some other types of things like the pest control thing. That's what a lot of home inspectors do. They start another business. We interviewed a guy a few weeks ago, and he does mold remediation and crawl space encapsulation and radon and things like that. If your state allows it with your SOP, cool. Pest inspections and are not part of a home inspection pest company, that works out perfectly. But those are all completely different companies. So now you have to have and maintain 2, 3, 4 different companies to be able to get that residual income, and then it's still working to have employees.
Yes.
So you mentioned things like a concierge or homeowners insurance and things like that. I do have to say, I can feel some of our listeners cringing. Because you know what it's like? There's a restaurant down the road from me that I went to. I had a really bad meal, and I just never went back.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have just, it could have just been the cook that day, or it could be the restaurant. But I'll never order that meal again because I'm like, man, this is gross. I never went back to the restaurant, never got that meal again. So we've had a lot of people try that in the industry, but they've made a lot of bad meals because they went about it the way that an outsider does. Let me just work this lead. I'm going to get this person to buy homeowners insurance, whether they like it or not, 30 phone calls, emails, and follow up. So for a lot of us in the industry, we feel burnt on it.
Yeah.
So when we hear that, it's like, yeah, okay, it's another attempt at this. So how is iGo going about the whole process differently than what we've already seen and wasn't very appetizing, so to speak?
Yeah, a lot of the programs in the past are all focused on, making as much money off of the homeowner in that moving process, right? A lot of companies are very willing to buy lists of leads, whether it be security companies or, repair companies, where they can start calling that homeowner sooner. And at iGo, like we really believe that in order to give that customer for life experience that we envision, where we're helping that homeowner and providing value to that homeowner together with the inspection company throughout the journey of home ownership, the only way to get there is to truly provide a valuable service at move, right? So it's not about how much homeowners insurance can we sell that person or what's the conversion rate for security. It's how do we, provide a valuable service to, home buyers that need it. Ones that don't need it, they don't ever get another phone call again. We're not selling the information to 5 different places and having 5 different people reach out to the customer. They have one point of contact, a home expert from Homebinder that they can reach out to that has the ability to help them with all of the services. If we reach out to that customer twice and we don't hear back from them, we're done, right? Like we're not reaching out to that customer 8, 10 times to try to get them on the phone to sell them homeowners insurance. Our vision is to have a relationship with that customer through the entire journey of home ownership. So it's not sell as much as we can in that first phase irrelevant to the experience. No, it's very, very much, we have these services. How can we help? And, a lot of customers are already working on their own and don't need any help. So, once we hear that once, they don't get 4 more phone calls from different companies that bought the lead as well, because that's it. As soon as we find out that they're working on it on their own, we move on. So we're very focused on the customer for life, which means we need to give a great experience during every interaction with the homeowner.
Yeah, and that's a good answer. It's not data driven, it's client driven or
Right.
the homeowner driven. So I see the difference between your model and their model is when you walk through the mall in the food court and you have like all these food vendors just like shoving food and saying, "Hey, to grab this, giving out all those free samples." You guys are the sit down restaurant where the customer comes in, looks at the menu, and places an order.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, both scenarios have data on you, but the one is you're taking the order. What can we help you with? Do you even want help?
Yep.
So that I like. That's good. And it doesn't get sold or transferred anywhere. That's what's key. And Homebinder has a good reputation. Homebinder's been man. Um, Jack Huntress from Homebinder.
Yep.
I've known him for. I was one of their first clients when they actually came
Really.
out. Yeah, when they first came out, I'm like, I'll experiment with them. Let's see what happens.
He's a great
Yeah.
guy. You won't find anybody that keeps that homeowner as the North Star more than him. That's actually, we've always made the homeowner our top focus, but the whole, homeowner is the North Star came from homeowner. It's been there, their guiding light the whole time they've been in business. And, up until now, right? Like if you sign up with Homebinder, and you can use Homebinder today and none of that information is shared. Nobody's reaching out to any of the clients.
Mm-hmm.
Homebinder Assistant is an additional program that we've put together since acquiring Homebinder Repair Pricer here a few months ago. But the standard version of Homebinder always has been zero communication with that homeowner from third parties to sell them things. So Homebinder Assistant is a program that we've launched that, as I said many times here, it's focused on that one point of contact for that homeowner and trying to truly provide a valuable service during the move-in process to build that customer for life relationship with the homeowner.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, just a couple things that I really like what you guys are doing because I don't have just anybody on the show and say, "Hey, I like what you're doing." I don't know all the inner workings of what you guys have, so there may be parts that I don't like, but for the most part, what I like is you guys are within our industry. And when I saw the article come up about when Homebinder and Repair Pricer were purchased, and my heart dropped. I'm like, another one bites the dust. Here we go again, and I'm like, iGo. Oh, well, that I'm okay with because that's independently owned, inspector run, and I'm okay with that. If there's going to be a wave hitting the beach, I'd rather it be our own wave than an
Yep.
outside one.
Yeah.
Um, but you guys also have Keystone going on,
Yeah.
or yeah,
And
so,
I backing up a second to the Repair Pricer and the Homebinder acquisitions.
yeah.
We acquired them in an all stock transaction with zero cash. Both companies are worth plenty of money to these other outside groups that are buying vendors right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that we were able to acquire them for stock and zero cash is because we all three have the same vision. If you've worked with any of the three companies, one thing is our relationship with home inspection companies is like our main focus, right? And providing that ensuring that homeowner experience and their property information is kept secure is so I think all three companies had this same vision of creating a better way to you know take to join in this opportunity around helping the homeowner with some of these tough things that they need to do and not do it the way that others are doing it today. So all three companies have the same vision, and when you bring us all together, it just helps us move a lot faster. So I think it's really important to mention that like nobody got a big check. There's not some big private equity money that came in to write checks to cash everybody out. Everybody doubled down for creating a continuing to help the home inspection industry protect itself from some of these other opportunities out there by doing it the right way.
See, I didn't know that. That's interesting. There was no cash in hand on that deal. Interesting.
No,
It was big in my eyes. Like,
yeah,
again, for the average home inspector, sometimes we drive around in our truck going to the next inspection without thinking about these things. But that was taking back some of our footing, in my opinion. Because they could have easily been bought up by somebody else.
very easily. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
great products, both of them. Repair Pricer, it's been growing rapidly over the last 2 years, continuing to, evolve their, cost estimates to be more and more and more accurate, trusted by, millions, over the years. So, definitely really lucky to, be able to bring them on. And both Christian, the founder of Repair Pricer, and Jack at Homeminder, culturally, we are very aligned around how we see the industry and how we, want to partner with home inspection companies.
Yeah, and I like both those guys. Christian's been on the show a couple of times, both before being acquired and after. And just our private conversations before or after the show makes me feel more comfortable having them on, because I'm very careful. Who do
Yeah.
I have on here? Is it going to be beneficial for our industry, or is this something that is going to feed the beast that's consuming us? And
Yep.
I've always felt great about Christian and Jack, and now you. So tell me a little bit about your scheduling software. I'd love to
Yeah.
hear some more about that, because that, just to add on to my own question here, which you shouldn't do, but it's interesting because there's not many choices for large scale admin software. So in Inspector Toolbelt, we have scheduling software, but it's not large scale admin software.
Yeah.
You have other large scale admin software that has it's just been gobbled up. So if you are working with it, you don't really have much of a choice, and your data gets processed one way or the other to a big company. So tell me about your guys' large scale admin software.
Yeah. So Keystone is our, is our product. And, I think some of our competitors, most of our competitors, if we look at how much the industry has changed over the years, they were created when the industry was much different than it is today, right? So, we had the advantage of starting from scratch 3 years ago and building to the future of the industry versus starting with something that was built for, an industry that is significantly changed. So some of the features within it are, when you go into book an inspection and you put in the property address, we have MLS integration in the majority of the United States. So it'll instantly pull over the square footage and the year built and the photos and everything from the MLS to speed up that process of getting the right information, into the system. Also, we have drive time analysis built in. So when you're going to pick which inspector could go do which job, it's going to tell you how far it was from their house, how far it was from their last job, how far it is from their next job. Um, we really, really focused on building a digital, booking experience for inspection companies that can be, very, very quick. And in order to have your agents have the ability to not call to book the inspection, but use, the digital booking tools, they need to have a lot of information. They need to know a lot about all your inspectors. They need to have information about the property, and then information about the services you offer. So we spent a lot of time making Keystone very, very, very intelligent so that when you're booking with our digital booking tools, it can be done in just a few clicks versus, having to enter all the information about the home. Ours will pull it over from the MLS and build the pricing right away. It'll only show the inspectors that are qualified to do those type of inspections in those areas. So really, really spent a lot of time understanding, that 11, 12-minute phone call that comes in to book an inspection, and how can we cut the time back so that the agents or the buyer don't have to spend that much time on the phone, and also cut back on the errors that are happening, and we're actually capturing all the information. So, we've got a call center that's booking thousands of inspections a month for inspection companies. So we had the ability to really study what's happening during that booking process and how can we really optimize it. So when we get into that digital experience where our customers have, this world-class tool to book inspections, that it's seamless and simple for them to do that. So, invested heavily around building a system that's really intelligent, because the smarter it is, the more capabilities it has to do things in the future.
That's awesome. I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned Keystone in this podcast because what I want everyone to know is we're not fighting it alone. It's not like you're driving in your truck right now listening to me and John talk, saying, okay, well, what am I going to do? There are others that recognize that our industry is being invaded and we want to take it back. And that's been kind of my soapbox, my platform, is take back our industry. So anybody that's going to help us take that back from the inside, I love to talk to them. And John, you've been very helpful. I'm really anxious to see when Keystone gets fully released, when all your other programs are fully out there and what you already have going on. Really anxious to see how it all plays out. And I really appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been great, and great to get to know you as well. Same, on our end, the more people and more, companies that are pushing, from the inside, the better. So it's really been really great to meet you.
Yeah, same here. Hopefully we'll have you on again soon, but thanks again for being on.
Yeah, thank you.